how a company called GoodTrust can help you plan for the future. Welcome back to Techstination. Joining us from GoodTrust are co-founders Ricard Steiber and Daniel Seberg. Hi, Ricard.
Hey, Fred. Thank you so much for having us today. Great to be here.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Fred.
Great to chat with you. Now, let's give the audience a little background to begin with. You both have terrific technology backgrounds, which include Google and more. Let's start with you, Ricard. Give us the overview of your background and how this company came to be.
Thank you, Fred. Yeah, my name is Ricard Steiber. I'm your usual Swedish tech guy who got a job with Google in the mid-2007. And I've been launching a lot of products around the world, everything from Google Earth to Android to YouTube to search, etc. And I came over to the US in 2009. I also been working with esports, streaming music, streaming video, virtual reality, self-driving cars. So I had a tech career, which was awesome. And then in 2020, my father died. And everything kind of stopped. And I was kind of sucked into what happens to your digital stuff when you die. And as it turns out, no one has any idea. So I found out that people, on Facebook today, there's 30 million dead people on Facebook sending awkward birthday reminders. I found out that they're still on LinkedIn sending work anniversaries. There's billions of dollars being lost on online accounts because no one finds the accounts. So I started GoodTrust to essentially fix this global problem. And as we got into this, we also discovered that people in America don't have a will. 2/3 of Americans don't have a will, especially if you're not super rich. You don't have estate planning in shape. So we started GoodTrust to protect what really matters for people, protect their family, their assets, their legacy. How will they be remembered after they pass away? So GoodTrust is you kind of one-stop shop to create your will, make sure that people find all of your assets, and also that your memory and legacy remains there today, but also after you pass away. So that's my kind of quick intro. Over to you, Daniel.
Yeah, no, thank you, Ricard. I would say, Fred, so Ricard and I maybe have had a similar journey in some ways over the last 10, 11 years or so. We both worked at Google. We overlapped there. We've both been in entrepreneurship for a little while. We have similar looking last names even. We ended up co-writing a book together called Digital Legacy, Take Control of Your Online Afterlife, as we were thinking about what GoodTrust might look like. And prior to that, I spent about a dozen years in the media, in journalism, focused on science and technology, and worked at CNN and CBS and ABC, and came to deeply appreciate what it means to be remembered, to preserve our stories and memories. My maternal grandmother died of Alzheimer's complications, and I was a teenager when that happened. So I think it was a pivotal moment in my life to see what the value of that is to both the individual and the family members and friends around that person. So yeah, and we've expanded GoodTrust a lot, as Ricard mentioned, over the last few years, and thinking about everything that pertains to protecting what matters. And so that could be your estate planning, that could be your online security, and it could be your digital stories and memories. So we have this holistic way of looking at it all.
Well, there have been products, as you both well know, on the market before for doing wills and trusts, things like that, from a couple of major companies. Tell us how you're different, and you are taking this whole concept well beyond just producing a document here.
Estate planning is, really being disrupted by online technology. In the old days, we had to call our lawyers, we had to sit down with them, it took weeks, and then eventually you had a paper document, and then you thought you were done, and you didn't really update the will. Today, it is all done online on your phone. It takes 15 minutes. It's click, 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 click. It's more like doing TurboTax, once per year to kind of stay updated, because your current will, if you have a paper will, probably doesn't mention all of those online accounts that you have, your bank accounts. It probably doesn't contain access to your photos with iCloud or Google Photos. So which means that What we do differently is that we make it so much more accessible. It's not just your will, it is your durable power of attorney, it is your living will, it's your funeral directive, your pet directive, it's your trust if you want it. So it's all of those things that you really want, very easily updated on your phone, on your desktop. But also you have what we call a digital vault, where you can essentially list all of the important things that you want your family to find, either today to get organized. So me and my wife, for example, we share kids' vaccination cards, we share their passports, insurance, and things like that, so that everyone in the family knows where you find all of these docs. Super easy. You take your phone, you take a photo of your passport or insurance card, and you upload it, and then everyone in the family can see it. But you can also decide that certain things, maybe my Facebook account, my password to my computer, or maybe that Coinbase, Ethereum, not that Ethereum is worth anything in these days, but if it was, that those accounts, maybe I don't want my wife to have them right now. But if something happens to me, I want her to find them. So we have these settings where certain assets can be shared either today or only if you pass away. So you have the will, which secures the transfer of assets, but then you have the vault, which kind of lists all of your assets. And then we also found out, and this is Daniel point, so I asked him to talk about it, is that it's not just about your physical or your monetary assets. Sometimes it's more about your emotional and your memories and stories. So maybe you can talk about that, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely, Rickard. So, we live our lives in the digital world these days. We all spend an average of about 6 to 7 hours online, depending on our job or our family commitments and all of that. And we're creating, the average person takes about 20 photos per day on their smartphone. And all of that is adding up over time. And so how do we capture those memories and stories in a way that feels meaningful for people? So in addition to everything that Rickard described with estate planning and the idea of transferring assets and ensuring people are aware of your digital life, there's also the sort of the emotional connection to all of those stories and memories. And how do you capture that and preserve that? So we have created a number of different ways to do that. We refer to all of them in aggregate as something called life stories. And so this is where you can take a photo, for example, one of those many photos that we're all capturing every day, and add a layer of personalization to it, customization, fun. You can do a live portrait, which is kind of what we think of as a bit of a Harry Potter kind of a spin on a memory. So for example, let's pretend, I mean, in this case, if we're looking at a photo of Marilyn Monroe here, but if you had an older photo of your grandparents or someone like that, you could animate them in a way that really brings them back to life for a future generation. Because as we know, of course, photos from this era, many of them were black and white. They were a bit static by comparison to what we have today. So to add that kind of interactivity and engagement can be really meaningful for people. And then we have something that also falls into the fun category, I would say, with singing portraits. You can add a song here. Maybe it's something that somebody knew. Maybe it's just to create this kind of personalization to it. You can do it around a holiday. And then any of those two options, you can take and send it as a future message to somebody, kind of like a time capsule. So, we all maybe kind of grew up with this idea of preserving our life at a certain point and then looking at it later. And a future message has a similar concept. You decide when somebody receives this message in the future. It could even be a message to yourself. You could try to, send an inspirational message to yourself and you receive it a year from now. You could decide that it's after you pass away and that people receive a notification from you. It's, I have 2 daughters, and if I were to send them something that was triggered only after I passed away, telling them I love them, that I, always thought about them, maybe it's on their birthday or whatever it is. There's really again, an emotional connection here. And then the next phase for us is something that we're launching very soon. And Rickard, I don't know if you wanted to maybe show that and get into that, but it's kind of the evolution of this. Live portraits is one, and then singing portraits. And then we're getting into something called story portraits.
So what I talked about estate planning it's essentially a simple place where you can create all of those documents that we all should have in place, but we don't. And it's an online flow, and essentially click, you can get it done. And then when it comes to the Vault, for example, I'll just show you mine. So what you can do is that here you can see that I put everything from my social media accounts to my phone account to PayPal to LinkedIn to Citibank to Robinhood. But it could be also all of your documents. It could be access to your devices. And the system, the way it works is that if you have a friend, so for example, my brother here, Bjorn, you can see that here are all the different accounts that I shared with him. And then you have this function where you could share it either now or only after death. So that makes it easy to get organized. So the idea here is that being that one place where you can protect what matters, if it is the more rational sort of monetary assets, or if it's the more emotional legacy, and then also providing the estate plan that safeguards the transfer of those assets.
Well, it sounds wonderfully useful, but the first question a lot of people will have about something like that is, or the first two questions. One is, why should I trust you with all of that? And the second is, what about security? And the possibility, what if your company is not around when I want all of these things to be available?
Yeah, no, I think security is the most important thing. So what we do is, security is essentially 4 cornerstones. One is when you are in the browser, you are working in an encrypted session. You besides password, you use 2-factor authentication. So very similar to how you access information from your bank or your healthcare provider. So it's a very similar. And then when you send information to our servers, we use SSL, which basically means that the information is encrypted, so no one can intercept it on its way to us. And we are a Microsoft for startups company, so we get special access to Microsoft Azure and some of their server technology. So it's the most advanced enterprise grade server technology. So if someone was going to try to hack Microsoft Azure, everything will be encrypted on their servers as well. And then finally, no one in GoodTrust can access your information. They can only access customer service information. So if you need help with resetting your password or something like that. So we have a very holistic way of looking at security. And we work very closely with organizations such as AARP, with leading insurance companies. We work with banks. We also try to do technology for good. So if you're a US veteran, for example, we give our service at no cost to veterans, because we want to service those who served us, so to speak. So we are a well-funded Silicon Valley startup with reputable investors such as Khosla Ventures. So I think we have as much as anyone can have in order to provide the security and the longevity of the function. So
that's a very solid background. So tell us then, this new feature that's going to be coming soon.
So we talked about live portraits and singing portraits and future messages. And something we've been thinking about for quite a while is, how could we attach an audio memory or story to a photo? Especially since, even with video on our smartphones, so many of us still take photos. And of course, if you look back 10, 20, 30 years ago, most people were not using video as a way to capture their memories. And it can still be a little unwieldy to share or to download or to pass on to someone. So how could we do that? So what we have coming soon is the ability for people to upload a photo and then choose to either add an audio recording or to type in whatever story they wanted to associate with that photo. And then a person in that photo will speak or share that story with whoever is looking at it.
Hello there. Joe Barker here, and you are looking at the most beautiful family in the world. This photo was taken in August 1949, and we were at the Santa Cruz Boardwalk. Sun, seagulls, corn dogs, and scary roller coasters.
It sounds a little science fiction. We'd like to think it's more science than fiction.
So I get this, and it looks terrific, great features, can have a lot of fun with it, even long after you're gone, I suppose. But how do you answer people who might say, boy, this is creepy, and I don't know about this.
So I think that will be both inevitable and perpetual. I don't know that we'll, quite ever see a day where we're all in agreement of how this technology feels. I do think that it does matter whether it's your own family or somebody else's. So your point of view. In other words, if it's your memories and it's somebody you know, and you can sort of bring them to life in this way by adding a voice, even if it's synthetic in the beginning, but adding a memory, bring them to life, sharing that in a limited way, so with other family members or friends, then that starts to feel meaningful and like something that really matters to you, and probably a little less creepy if it feels like it's done right. If it's somebody else's family or image or memory or whatever it is, it might have more of that kind of creepy feel to it because you don't know that person and it's a little different. It doesn't have that kind of resonance that it might have if it's your own family. So I think a lot of it does, pertain to your perspective. But certainly this technology is also just so new. And for a lot of people, it's just adjusting to what this is, how this fits into their life. Where does this go from here? Could you have a conversation at some point with these images and not just view it? This is really just the beginning of where we're headed. So I think it's a little bit of just kind of, see where it goes from here to some degree.
Terrific. Now, tell us about pricing and where people can go to give this a try.
Yeah, so if you want to try animating your photo, you can go to mygoodtrust.com. You can try it for free at first, and if you like it, you can do all kinds of custom animations. Currently, it's $4.99 per month. If you want to create your will, you can go to mygoodtrust.com as well. You can start creating your will at no cost, and once you agree with your partner, you want to legalize the documents. It's essentially $8 per month, and you can do unlimited updates. You have unlimited access to the vault and things like that. So it's super easy to get started and give it a try. Super affordable. We're really making an effort to make it accessible to everyone. And when it comes to the news of the story portal that we're launching, I would also say that both me and Daniel has this vision that this is just the beginning. We started with animating portraits like in Harry Potter. You make them sing, now you can make them talk. But I think we're starting to get so used to talking to our phones and, hello Siri and hello Google. And I think that having that conversation, not just with Google and Apple, you will have that with your deceased grandparents, for example, and the technology to access information that they had about where they were. Because today our phones log everything where we are. All of our photos are geotagged and time tagged, and they access to all of our documents. So artificial intelligence could very easily make it available. So if I asked Granddad, did you ever go to Mexico? The AI would easily answer, say, yes, I love Mexico. I've been there like 50 times. Do you want me to show you some photos when we were there together, 10 years ago? And you can say yes, and Granddad can bring up the photos and you can share those memories. Very easy technology. It's already here. We just need to build it.
Terrific. So once again, the website for all of this?
The website is mygoodtrust.com, mygoodtrust.com.
Terrific. Well, Ricard and Daniel, thank you so much for spending time with us. And we certainly look forward to what's there now and what's to come.
Thank you, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.